Hi everyone. To go along with Mr. Miller's video explaining exactly what average value is, I just wanted to go through a couple of examples of average value problems that you might see. These are probably typically more multiple choice type questions, but they're going to use the formula. I'll rewrite it here. Our average value is going to be 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of our f of x dx. So if we're looking for the average value of our function f of x is equal to sine of x, and we are looking over the interval from 0 to pi, I'm going to go ahead and set up my equation. And that's going to be 1 over pi minus 0 times the integral from 0 to pi of our f of x, which is going to be sine of x dx. And in this case, this one's going to be pretty straightforward. I don't need to do any substitutions or anything here. I can just go ahead and simplify that 1 over pi, take my integral. So the antiderivative of sine of x is going to be negative cosine of x. And I'm evaluating that from 0 to pi. So that'll be negative cosine of pi minus negative cosine of 0. When I go ahead and put those values in, that's going to be 1 over pi times cosine of pi is negative 1 times the negative 1 is going to be positive 1. Double negative in there is going to be plus, and then cosine of 0 is going to be 1. So this is going to give me 1 over pi times 2, which I can write as 2 over pi. The next example is going to require a little bit more work, so we're actually going to need to do a little bit of substitution in this one. So I'm going to set up my average value, and I'm looking from 2 to 4, so 1 over 4 minus 2 times the integral from 2 to 4 of my function, so x squared over 1 minus x to the third squared dx. And in this case, I'm going to use u substitution. So I'm going to look at my denominator with that quantity squared, and I'm going to say that u is going to be equal to 1 minus x to the third, which will give me a du equal to negative 3x squared dx. And when I solve that for dx, that's going to be du over negative 3x squared. I'll go ahead and do my substitution in here. So clean up that fraction on the outside. That's going to be 1/2 times the integral of x squared over u squared times du over negative 3x squared. And then that will allow me to get rid of those x squareds. I'm going to bring that negative 1/3 on the outside with that 1/2. So when you multiply those together, that would give you a negative 1/6. And then I want to think about what my bounds are going to be here. So since we're using u, I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 and 4 and put them back in over here. So 1 minus 2 cubed is going to give me a negative 7. And 1 minus 4 cubed, I believe, will give me a negative 63. So I'm looking to integrate this from negative 7 to negative 63. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So this is really 1 over u squared. I'm going to write that as u to the negative 2 power du. And then I'm just going to use my power rule here to get my antiderivative. So negative 1/6. Oops, I should be putting my bounds on there. So negative 1/6. My antiderivative is going to be 1 over negative 1. So negative 1. U to the negative 1. That's from negative 7 to negative 63. I'll rewrite that a little bit nicer. So that's going to be negative 1/6 times. That'll be negative 1 over u from negative 7 to negative 63. And then I can go ahead and finally evaluate that. Just have to be careful about my negatives and positives here. So negative 1/6 times negative 1 over negative 63 is going to be positive 1 over 63 minus negative 1 over negative 7 is going to give me positive 1 over 7. So I can make a common denominator here of 63. So multiply by first fraction by, or second fraction by 9. So 1 over 63 minus 9 over 63 is going to give me negative 8 over 63. And then when I multiply that by my negative 1/6, that should give me an average value of positive 8 over, I think, 378, which does simplify to 4 over 189. Okay, and my last example actually has to do with some natural logs, which is kind of the most recent topic that we covered in class. So the average value of our f of x is equal to 1 over x from x is equal to 1 to x is equal to e is, so we're going to go ahead and set up our average value. That'll be 1 over e minus 1 times the integral from 1 to e of 1 over x dx. And here is where I'm recognizing that I'm going to be using a natural log because I have a 1 over x in my integral. So 1 over e minus 1 times antiderivative 1 over x is going to be ln of the absolute value of x from 1 to e. So 1 over e minus 1 times ln of the absolute value of e minus ln of the absolute value of 1. And again, remember that these are just numbers, so that's really 1 over e minus 1 times ln of e is actually just 1 minus ln of 1 is actually just 0. So 1 over e minus 1 times 1 is just 1 over e minus 1. All right, so it's going to be your turn to try some practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions.